Just some 22 years old, in the year of September Twins, a game was released from the unknown and unpretentious Remedy studio, about a policeman who has 3 days before retirement, which made them mega famous in one of the coolest game studios in the world that, also rare, still pleases us with the cool games to this day. But in this video I don't want to touch the new stuff they made, I want to touch the very first game that came out from the under the pen. More precisely, this is the second game, but the first is not interesting, so we can assume that this is the first. What was the good old Max Payne like, and how it's played 22 years after the release, we will find out right now. It's hard to find someone on this planet who has not played the PC version of this game, and therefore, for a change, I decided to take the version for the second PlayStation to look at the difference between these versions, and also because it's simpler, hehe. What I regretted in the end, but more on that later. It greeted us with a warning screen, which says that Max Payne is an autosave game. It doesn't even need a pirated translation. Starting a new game, we are given a choice of difficulty level, of which only one of them is available for selection. First of all, looking at the graphic, there was no revelation. The version for the PlayStation 2 really looks even worse than the version on computers. New York City. Our days. An hour ago. An hour ago from what? What will happen in this hour? We will never see in the end what will happen an hour after these events. Why this encryption?
They were all dead. The final gunshot was an exclamation mark to everything that had led to this point. I released my finger from the trigger. And then it was over.
When the ears on your character are a regular flat sprite on the head, definitely the best solution will show this head clearly from the front, so that he looks like his parents were painted cucumbers in a leather coat. Okay, I take it back. He doesn't look much better in profile too. Unless you can call me kid who played a game that came out before he was born, I will give an example of another game created by the same poor unknown developers just a year after this one. Only 1 year difference, and the difference is visible to the naked eye.
To make any kind of sense of it, I need to go back 3 years. Back to the night the pain started.
The game began from the end to then be transported to the beginning cliché. Comic-style intros at the time were rather unusual and still aged quite well. But still, from the height of the 23rd year, as for me, they really lack some kind of dynamics. Some kind of movement of the characters in the card, or at least the appearance of these squares and clouds with the text in turn, was very lacking during the game. This was especially noticeable when there was some kind of action between the voice acting of the lines, during which I watched the static picture.
Listen, someone's broken into my house. Call 911.
Maxim, holding the telephone receiver in his hand, asked his interlocutor to call 911. And even after he was told that they could not help him,
I'm afraid I cannot help you.
He still didn't call the police. As you can see from this jump, the button to perform it was assigned to the right trigger, which confuses me more than once in this game. Of course, I understand that these are fucking addicts, but anyway, what was the point of killing a child? He somehow tried to prevent them, attack them, or what?
No, God, no, please, Michelle. Oh, baby.
At this point I finally realized how big, smelly and hairy as the Russian voiceover is sucking. Yes, it was amateur, but because of it I never heard the original, which is very good in places. But the original voice acting has its own problems, namely constant smacking on almost every word.
It took us 3 long years to get a break in the Valkyr case. Then, finally, 2 months ago, a dime dropper tipped us off that Jack Lupino, a mob boss in the Punchinello crime family, was trafficking. I went undercover. Infiltrated the worst mafia family in New York.
Such off-screen ASMRs, my ears took the form of the ears the protagonist of this game.
Project Valhalla. V for Valkyr. V for Valhalla. All of a sudden it read like a crackpot conspiracy theory.
Having already started playing, the first thing that caught my eye was Max's leather jacket, which for 2001 is animated very well.
The pills would ease the pain.
And it will also heal any wounds, because painkillers now work like that. One of the distinguishing features of the console version of this game is the huge hit detection on opponents, which turn out to be insanely useful, since aiming here is just damn inconvenient. Which didn't help me much with the rats, which was a challenge to shoot. As a result, having shot at them, I could not find the easter egg for which I was going to this. That's the kind of winner I am. Another distinguishing feature of this version is the number of duration of loading screens screen that appeared before each chapter. That is, every 5 or 10 minutes after each of these, and they last much longer than the PC version. Also, everything there probably depended on the characteristic of the computer, but it doesn't matter. You have two straight corridors here, what takes so long often to load. The doors of the locker do not open all the way because the hero's model interfere with them, because of which you need to step back a little so that it opens all the way. Also, this bullet time is cool and generally innovate in this time. Sometimes there are times when it shows its 22-year-old age its very glory. When you want to ram a wall with a train at high speed, it is advisable to move away from a windshield so as not to fly out to its death. This empty corridor with the dead ends of the exits only to be empty corridor with the dead ends of its exit.
The door had been welded shut ages ago and the bomb was missing a detonator.
Gameplay hints in this game look like the same off-screen ASMR at the cutscenes,
A letter on the desk caught my eye.
due to which they do not stand out from the general atmosphere and feel something so natural that even I still haven't bothered with the off-screen monologue. And those who watch my videos on God of War will understand that you can just take and not to nitpick of bubbling.
We gotta get out of here. If it's Lupino, it's...
I did not have to finish an important detail for the plot cliché. And of course this just killed man was the only one who knew about Max's innocence.
Alex and BB were my only contacts in the DEA.
Oh, how inconvenient.
He was dead. I could tell by the empty, accusing stare of his eyes.
And you can't understand this from the hole in his head. Why it is possible to close the gate if it is instantly open and such an open state I need it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the pain in the butt. Pain to the max.
If you add up all the puns with the name of protagonist in this game, you will get the feeling that the name was invented for him only in order to be able to joke about this topic.
No pain, no gain. Capiche? Punchinello wanted pain. He'd see the pain.
It was so polite of them to wait until Max hides and only then start shooting at him. And despite the fact that they threw the table to hide behind from Max's shots, one of them still continued to stand open to my shots. Why keep painkillers in a safe? There is an opportunity to crouch in this game, but given the impossibility of shooting from behind the cover on the crouch, since the bullet will always hit the cover, I don't see any point in this crouch. Because why die when a gas bottle exploded right next to you?
A suspect was seen leaving the site only moments after the shots had been fired, and the NYPD is currently in pursuit of Max Payne, a repeated felon believed to be armed and extremely dangerous.
Who and when could see Max at the time if all over the territory was not a single civilian, and those bandits who saw me, I shot them all. Yes, and this happened just a couple of minutes ago. When did it get to the news? In order to throw a grenade, you first need to select an inventory, which is still normal in such cases. I have enough time here to select it. But when you try to do it in the middle of battle, those who you wanted to throw it will already have time to escape from the place, and with a high degree of probability they will have time to shoot you while you're distracted at choice. It seems to me that if you try to have sex on a bed like this, you are more likely to speed from what made you sick before you can get down to business. How did the wooden box not shatter into pieces from a shotgun blast?
Take vampire movies. Why are they always set in LA or Mexico? They can't even get a tan. If I was a bloodsucker, I'd move to the North Pole. Winter's one long night.
One can only agree with this statement. And this is far from only case when you can hear the gangsters around the corner talking about some abstract topics that sometimes you even want to stop and listen, as if Tarantino sneezed into the script of this game.
It's like time slows down in the middle of the action. You know, you can see the bullets flying through the air, the hero dodging in slow motion. Oh man, it would be so cool to be able to do that. Bullet time, that's what they call it.
The key to an ordinary door the size of Max's flat head. It is scientifically proven that not wearing a pants makes a person less vulnerable to shotgun blasts. The best way to describe a Russian. The better just a noise, namely the truck decided to explode from a weak touch on the wall. Yes, and why this Russian decided to crack into a truck, I still do not understand. Probably just slipped. The shootout in a subway happened about an hour ago, but the newspapers has already written about it. Quite an unusual pause screen in which you can admire Maxim's pretty face from all sides. The gas bottle only explodes if you shoot off its top twist. No matter how much I shoot at it, it will not even think about exploding. Facial expression of Max's and other people during death, and not only death from any facial expressions of almost any character, you can create such a long slideshow that it will possible to release it separately as a full-fledged video.
It's never been this cold. Never ever. It's like the sky's falling.
Yes, sir. It's the end of the world as we know it.
And I don't feel fine. I don't feel anything. Not a thing.
I'm freezing my butt off.
All around said how cold it is now in the street, but everyone around is wearing maximum of light jackets, and Maxim is ordering like a jacket not yet buttoned up. Either they are in New York cap at 100 in such a cold, or for New Yorkers a deadly cold. This is what we call standard October. Another feature for the console version of this game, because of which I just regarded the toolkit, this is a constantly staggering frame rate, which is very uncomfortable from a large number of enemies or an open location. I immediately thought that this was a problem of the emulator, but after the clicking of the second several times, turning off all the improvements are lowering the resolution, it still continued to work so unstable. Of course this is not fatal, and with such a large hit detection you still don't need to shoot very accurately, but it's still not pleasant to look at 22 years old game with such performance.
No, don't shoot.
You know the clowns at the laundry?
Me? No.
You're no good to me then.
What? No, the laundry, yeah. I know him, yeah.
Get me in there.
Okay.
How convenient that a random junkie, one of 100 other like him, suddenly knows how to get through the doors that I have go through.
The password. John who?
It is so nice of him to give a hint to the password to make it easier to guess.
Come right in.
It's so convenient that the guy's vision is limited to 100 centimeters, so did he not see me standing behind? Either this is a Pulp Fiction reference, or I just made up my own mind that this is a Pulp Fiction reference. In any case, the reference is cool. Half of these pieces should have been stuck in Max's face.
But that's where I always end up anyway. Only, it's not me talking to the pink flamingo, but someone who looks the part down to the finest detail, except that he's evil. I'm hiding in the shadows, watching it all unfold. The flamingo speaks. He can speak here. It says,
"There's no content television."
Twilight Zone references, as I understand it, are a feature of the studio which will appear more than once in their games.
I have no idea what that means.
How cool is the surround true HD sound of the Tube TV that screaming sounds like someone flying past me?
My own scream, in that brightly lit.
Maybe the sound of the TV is already enough? I have already gone out of the street. How much can you show with this cool speaker?
Oh God, you shot me! Ah! You're dead, Payne! What the hell are you waiting for, you apes? Kill him! Kill him!
With pleasure, boss.
What a dumb mobster you have to be to see a boss shot, next to which the dude who shot him is standing. Wait until the boss orders them to shoot him. And if the shootout started away, why didn't Max shot this cognitive while he was in a room defenseless? Also it doesn't matter, because this mobster runs so slowly that Max managed to stand up to read the letter left off table, and still not in hurry was be able to quickly catch up with him. And this cognitive is so smart that he tries to shoot from a shotgun at the distance, where it's not so easy to do with a machine gun. One's legs are broken, the other's whole body is fucking broken. Congratulations, you are now two identical idiots. Somewhere in the middle of the road, Cogniti jumped off the train, which Max, sitting on another train, could not notice. But still, with some telepathic abilities, he could understand where he jumped, and jumped in the same place. Turns out it's not big of a deal to be chosen to plagiarize Neo. The further I go throughout the game, the more often I have to die and restart the past save, which is often located before the cutscenes, which are not skippable in this game. More precisely, those comics are skippable, and those on the engine are not, so sometimes you have to review some scenes several times in a row. Holding a gun by the top of the muzzle is not very functional, and sometimes it even hurts. If the enemy wants to shoot at Max, even his partner standing in front of his muzzle will not interfere with this.
It's Payne! He's coming down the stairs! Shoot the bastard!
Okay, boss, you got it.
No problem.
As you can see from this moment, Max does not know how to grab high ledges with his hands in order to climb them.
Take him down. Shoot to kill.
And the button for the elevator that should take me there is so small and hidden that I couldn't notice it for a few minutes.
God damn it!
From my experience of knocking on doors and other openable surfaces, the sound of this hits completely different from what it sounds like here. Of course, I'm not asking for perfect accuracy, but still, after I riddle Cogniti with a lot of my bullets, it would not hurt if at least a couple of holes were drawn on it, because it's still a picture. It's not so hard to splat a little red paint to it. If anyone did not know, now you can know. If you step on the guitar, it will start playing. I'll demonstrate.
The flesh of fallen angels! Come to me all,
Astaroth, Beelzebub, Asmodeus, Baphomet, Lucifer, Loki, Satan, Cthulhu,
Лезер, Чаннинг, Брена, Амбер, Сабрина, Мелоди, Дакота, Сьерра, Бэмби, Кристал, Саманта, Отом, Руби, Тейлор, Тара, Тами, Лорен, Шарлен, Шантель, Кортни, Мисти, Дженни, Криста, Минди, Ноэль, Шелби, Трина, Реба, Кассандра, Ники, Келси, Шана, Джолин, Эрлен, Клодин, Саванна, Кейси, Доли, Кендра, Карла, Хлоя, Девон, Брэндилин, Хезерлин, Тамилин. Блядь!
Lisa Punchinello. Lisa Punchinello was the Don's wife.
Mona Sachs, Lisa's evil twin.
When you are too lazy to attribute a character or even show it on a screen, just say who it is behind the scenes in a nutshell, after which I definitely will begin to devolve into the story with the evil twin, which I, like this first one, learned about just now.
Nothing personal. Can't risk you going berserk and getting Lisa killed.
This Lisa, by the way, which they talk about so much, will not appear in this game. Max Payne did drugs since before it was Ubisoft mainstream. But unlike Ubisoft masturbation, here we have a maze in hallucinations. The maze is so confusing that if I got into it in real life, I would shave my head, grow a beard and go live to the Mexico. What could be worse than a maze, you ask? Well, for example, another maze in the form of a red strip, along which you need to run very carefully, otherwise you will fall on feet. In which, in addition to wandering, you also need to do jumps, which in this game are not exact from the word fucking shit, but you finally get on this shitty strip.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Frankie the Bat Niagara.
Niagara, as in you cry a lot?
If you go in the wrong direction, the library starts playing in the opposite direction. Max's name Pants weren't the only one named Pumps. It was this one in its cringe bypassed everything that would joke about Max.
I couldn't bring myself to be pissed at Mona. Guess I had a soft spot for a pretty face. But when somebody decides to play baseball with your head, you tend to get sore.
When someone decided to play baseball with your head, you usually die.
All I had was Niagara's bat, sticky with my own blood.
Which is not visible on your head, from which this blood on the bat came. Maxine just broke a metal lock with a wooden bat. Hand-to-hand combat, by the way, in this game is the sweaty ass of a drunken orangutan. Good, this is the first and last time I forced to use it. By the way, I returned to the same hotel I was already in, because backtracking is so much fun. Only this guy is more fun than this.
Just forget about it. Just forget about it. Hey, just forget about it.
And not only is the location the same, but the boss fight takes place stupidly in the same room in which the last one took place. Pooping with panties on is not very comfortable. Trust my experience. Exploding red barrels cliché. I already fucking managed. How incredibly slow is incredibly slow moving trolley is moving. Max Payne plagiarized Sniper Elite before Sniper Elite started plagiarizing Max Payne. And please don't even think about asking me how easy it's to aim in a sniper cope with a gamepad. I pulled out enough of my hair already to remember it again. Max's head covered the scope of my weapon.
Tell the devil the dime sent you.
I don't even think my old videos blast as much as some of the lines in this game. Just like in the first Mafia, here too the Boozer's t-shirt serves a non-figure armor that can withstand any weapon. The door is broken in advance so that it can shatter into pieces from a scripted explosion.
I couldn't tell whether it was Mona or her sister. The body was a mess.
Firstly, how are you going to distinguish between twins? And second, what side of her body is mess? Lies quietly dozing, everything is fine with her. 3 Agent Smith shooting at me with machine guns a second after the end of the cutscene is just fucking and honest.
Mr. Payne, it's time to show you the benefits of my brew.
Why? What the problem with just shooting him? And if you don't want to kill him, then what was the problem of setting the police on him in this mansion? What is the point of cocaine him and let him go free?
There was something disturbingly familiar about the letter before me. The handwriting was all pretty curves.
You're in a computer game, Max.
The truth was a burning green crack through my brain, weapon statistics hanging in the air, glimpsed out of the corner of my eye, endless repetition of the act of shooting, time slowing down to show off my moves, the paranoid feel of someone controlling my every step. I was in a computer game, funny as hell, it was the most horrible thing I could think of.
This breaking of the fourth wall, also it doesn't explode the brain in our time, but for its time, if you do not take into account an ingenious MGS, it was very high. And again, these fucking red stripes. During that stomp, all the weapons were taken from Max, but for some reason they left the gun. If you jump from a height in slow motion, you will not receive any damage. Even Max Payne got this ubiquitous lava level. The fire located 5 meters away from me turned out to be so powerful that I was killed from it in non-contact way. Okay, back there, what set me on fire here? That fucking jump. I haven't even touched this ladder before.
Attention all personnel. The self-destruction sequence has been initiated.
Because where are we without a self-destruction system? If you shoot a grenade at the glass, the door will explode. But if you shoot at the door from the same grenade launcher, nothing will explode at all.
I've been living on an endless supply of week-old donuts. They were fuel for this crazy furnace inside my head.
Because you're not a real American cop unless you shoot black, unless your diet consists of donuts. What prevented Max during this long standing and talking to get a weapon and shoot BB right there without creating a complex boss fight out of it? Aim assist has one small down back. When your weapon is pointing somewhere down and up, the game automatically aligns it so that you shoot straight, which is convenient when the opponents are in front of you. But this is not cool at all when you need to shoot down or up.
You know, I really hate people who refuse to see the inevitable. Refuse to do the smart thing.
And I don't like people who speak in a normal voice somewhere far away from me, but they are equally audible anywhere in this parking lot. If you were wondering how deaf people play Max Payne, this scene showed up dead. And no, I didn't cut out any sound. Someone already cut it before me. Another, as for me, advantage of the console version, which I mentioned in the beginning, is a significant reduction of difficulty, and it seems to me an increase in the number of first aid kits scattered everywhere. PC difficulty at one time broke my nerves even on a keyboard, and what would happen with the screwed aiming and the gamepad, I even scared to imagine. But even with the gamepad, the difficulty is still quite low. Also, perhaps this was affected by the ability to save in the emulator, I don't know. One of the opponents shot Mona, who was standing behind Max, but did not continue to shoot in order to shoot Maxim at the same time, who after her death continued to stand in the same place. I present to you the most oblique helicopter in the history of mankind. By the way, yes, boss helicopter.
30 seconds to lift off.
Since when did helicopters start running on timer? If you do not have time to stop the helicopter before it flies away, you can watch an interesting alternative ending, after which there will be no need to play a sequel. Sniper rifle bullets are so big that they can pass through the crouching not very narrow grill. But in the end, with grief, I was able to hit this mouth in half, the phallus-shaped horse sedish fell on the helicopter and the game ended. Well, that was how Max Payne is played in our time. Also visually it's already quite scary, the gameplay was quite fun for me to play through it very end. Maybe even the console version is more fun since it's easier. Maybe it's just worth trying in the other console so that it doesn't lag so much. But I think we should not be bothered, because in the coming years Remedy will roll out remakes of the first two games for us, the creation of which I hope they do not delegate to the Indians. But until that happens, I will definitely play the second and the third games in the near future. And in order not to miss it, subscribe to the channel, put likes, repost and comment this video.